when you get stuck, usually bringing someone on, whether it's a consultant for just a couple days or reaching out to a new engineer or going to talk to customers, because it's not always about the product, it's about the team, and you need product team fit more than most people realize.
Welcome to Get Unstuck and On Target, the weekly podcast that offers senior leaders insights and strategies to not only lead with confidence and vision, but also to achieve groundbreaking results. I'm your host, Mike O'Neill. I coach top-level executives on the power of ethical leadership to forge teams to be as united as they are effective. In each episode, join me for insightful conversations with leaders just like you, providing practical advice to help you get unstuck and propel you and your company forward. Let's get started. Joining me is Quentin Barrial. Quentin is an entrepreneur and founder of Low-I Solutions. After living in 6 countries across 4 continents, Quentin attended college in North Carolina, and with an interest in business and a background in engineering, it was there that he first kind of discovered entrepreneurship and why that has kind of set him on a path of what we're going to be talking about today. After starting a first brand, he went on to start a kitchen utensil company before building an award-winning SaaS solution. So for the past 3 years, Low-I is proud to have assisted over 50 student entrepreneurs and established business owners, and he's worked on over 60 products, and that it's allowed those companies to launch some really amazing innovations. I've had an opportunity to spend some time with Quentin before we even scheduled this podcast, and I think we're in for a treat. Quentin, welcome.
Thanks. I'm excited.
Quentin, when we first met, the conversation automatically went to entrepreneurship. Why? I have an interest in what does it take to be an effective entrepreneur? And all too often, I have spoken to entrepreneurs who are on the other side of their journey, meaning they have lots and lots of experience to call upon. You, in contrast, don't have lots of experience, but you've had lots of success. And I just think it'd be very interesting to our viewers and listeners to kind of get an inside view of what does a person who is on an entrepreneurial journey, you've already done some pretty amazing things. What is it about entrepreneurship that just excites you?
There's a lot of problem solving. You know, when I was in high school, this was technically a while ago for me, but I took this huge passion for design on like engineering and architecture. And those were coming together to something quite interesting because there was a lot of problem solving into it. You know, you had this side that there was some kind of friction somewhere and it had to be fixed. And I fell in love with the process. At the end of that high school journey, I had to figure out whether I was going to do business or pursue this. And so entrepreneurship was my middle point between doing business and doing the problem solving work. And that's why I absolutely loved it. And so every single day, you know, I get to come to an office and I work on helping my clients or myself in building my company. It's constant problem solving. There's no days that are like the other. And I absolutely love that about it. So that's my main drive for it.
Got you. I think I shared with you, I spent quite a bit of time in corporate HR, leading HR teams, and I really understood the corporate setting pretty darn well. When I started my own business, I had a lot to learn. And boy, oh boy, did I learn the hard way, mistake after mistake after mistake. But now I'm happy to say I've made that transition. I'm an entrepreneur too. And I guess what I would throw out to you is, when people think about entrepreneurs, what do they get wrong based on what you've seen so far?
They look at the success story and they're in it for the success story. I'm in it for the failed days. And you see a lot of entrepreneurs that are pushing through because they're excited about the problems that they're into. And, you know, I've worked with a lot of students in the past and I was one myself. And when you learn about entrepreneurship, you hear about the guys that made it all happen. You know, you hear of Elon Musk and Tim Cook and all the folks that were there at like the inception of a new company. And they made it so big. And usually what you see is they're wealthy, they have all the power, they have status. And so you have a lot of entrepreneurs, which I call wantrepreneurs. They want to get to that status, to that high level. And they struggle all along because they're only looking for the positives and they forget about the negatives. And you and I both know you build your company and you build your success on all the failures that you've had. You know, I built a clothing brand right out of high school because I wanted to figure out what entrepreneurship was. That went great. It still runs today. That was awesome. But I was longing for something that was a little bit more challenging. So that's why I built a kitchen utensil company. And it was completely different. And the parts that I love were the parts where I completely failed on what I was doing. You know, I had the opportunity to pitch to Marc Randolph, and it was great. You know, he has all his background building Netflix, and I was this student in front of him pitching my kitchen utensil company. Quite honestly, he ripped me to shreds. Like, you know, some folks got to pitch to him. I had the opportunity. My pitch was fine. The product was awful. So that's what I remember the best because, you know, for me, I had the opportunity to pitch to him again the next year. I built a different company and I got all the praise at that point. And so it's really exciting for me to see those failures along the way. And a lot of entrepreneurs don't look for those. They're not excited about them and they struggle. They just struggle and they get it wrong about entrepreneurship.
You know, what caught my attention too is the fact that you have expressed interest in a wide variety of pursuits. I mentioned to you starting a SaaS organization. For those who don't know what that is, can you explain what SaaS is?
Yeah, it stands for software as a service. So it's when you build a software product and you're going to sell it through a subscription model or membership or whatever you want to do. So that's what a SaaS business is.
As people know, these are unscripted questions and just kind of what pops in my head. But you started multiple businesses. We've only kind of touched on 3 of those. One strikes me as being a product company, another one being a SaaS organization. Do you find that there's a difference in the nature of the business you're starting? And is there a level of complexity that you experience that you maybe didn't see coming?
You know, it's a good question. A lot of people, you know, you can tell they want, that's their question, but they can't formulate it. So I love the way you put it. There are a lot of similarities in the end of the mission. You know, you're always driven to build innovation that customers don't know is that good for them, and at the same time solves their problem. And that's the intersection between design-driven innovation and customer-centered. And so when you can get to that point, it's really exciting. So whether you do it for kitchen utensils, you're still solving the customer's problem in a completely different and innovative way, just as you would in a SaaS software company where they have this issue. For my case, we were doing lost and found. That was our main focus through QR codes. And so we built a business because we wanted to solve the problem of the person. So yes, there's some intersection. I love a portfolio life when I do a million different things. That's what I love. It keeps me excited. And I'm quite good at project management because I can manage all those things at once. And that's where there's actually a lot of difference because the skills that you need, the skills that are required to build that product are completely different. When you're doing SaaS software, you're talking to programmers, UX designers, user experience, user interface. So that's what you're based on. You still have some marketing and some general, you know, customer surveying, but that's kind of what your focus is. When you're doing kitchen utensils, you're talking about manufacturing, injection molding, that sort of stuff. So completely different pathways, but at the end of the day, you're still trying to solve the same problem for the customer.
You know, as I'm listening to you, I may not be saying this very eloquently, but it sounds as if that intersection you're making reference to, and that is if you can find that magic place between you solve a problem for a customer who didn't even know they had that as a problem, then that's that magic, if you will. I don't know to what extent a kitchen utensil would do that or not. However, it doesn't really matter as long as the timing is it is good there. Can we go back to your pitch experience where you felt like you kind of got shredded? You shared that you learned a lot from that experience. In what ways have you thus far been able to share the things that you've learned with others?
So when I pitched this product, a lot of people at the end of the session came to me and, wanted to check if I was okay. And I didn't understand that. And my girlfriend happened to be in the room, who's always been my biggest supporter. And so I was asking her, I said, why are people coming to me and trying to comfort me? I don't get it. She said, they all think that you got negative feedback. And I said, you don't want feedback, someone telling you they like the color. You want real feedback. And I got extremely excited about the fact that I got negative feedback rather than positive and something that didn't have much content to it. And so I think I've been able to carry that to other entrepreneurs that I've been able to help. Some have built small little products and some are building incredible things that are soon to launch on Kickstarter. And I'd love to talk more about that if I could. Those guys, I've been able to help them understand where the value is in the feedback and in the experience. A lot of the folks that came to comfort me turned into people that were looking into negative feedback because they saw the way that I interacted with it. So that's how I helped folks, thanks to that experience. And I've had tons of other ones built on that. So yeah, to answer your question, that's what it is.
For the company that you founded, Low-I Solutions, help us understand, at what point in the process do you all typically get sought out?
So to give our listener a little breakdown, if you're okay with that, Low-I is a design company. So we'll help with packaging, general product design, and then we also offer tons of different services to help products grow and companies create longer product lines, whether they're established and want to create another product in their product line, or they're just new and they have this problem to solve. So at the end of the day, we don't really look for a specific point at which you are with your company. And the reason we do this is because startups are in this constant flow of iterating. And really what you're doing is you're building something, you're testing it, you're changing it, and you just continue to go through that. And so if we were looking for exactly the point where, they're starting to iterate, we'll never catch them, if you will. This is actually not the best point for them to come to us. So we just look for startups that have an exciting product, want our help, and then we say, okay, yeah, great, we're going to help you out with it. So we have some folks that, come to us. They've built the entire product. One company is doing, they're doing electronic boards and PCBs. Super exciting. It's an awesome product. They have built a product. The person is an electrical engineer with amazing experience. I've gotten to learn a lot from him. He needed branding, packaging, websites, all that kind of stuff. If we can apply it, we do it. On the other hand, you have folks that say, I can't find a place to put my keys in a bathroom stall, and I don't want them in my pocket. That's literally where they are. And so we say, okay, that's great. Let's figure out how we get you to the right people that could let you prototype it, put it in the right place, run customer surveys. So there's very different worlds. What we don't get involved in is after product launches. It's as simple as that. So we won't come in to redesign a product that's already been launched. We go back to zero. We'll do revisions. We'll help create a better product if it had failed. But that's what we're the best at, and that's what we focus on.
So if you all focus primarily on pre-product launch, does that have a name?
I wanted to say it's product launch preparedness, but when you say so, a lot of folks think that you're only doing product launches
Mm.
and that it's about the scheduling and the PR that's going to happen through that. A lot more goes into a product launch. And so that's why I haven't named it that. Um, Really, product design is the best way to go about it because product design involves the feedback that you're going to have to go through, the product itself, but also the stage that you're putting the product on. And so that could be your packaging, just like it could be the label that you put on the back, the way you design the QR code, or even who's going to see it in the press and what that image, that visual on a newspaper is going to look like. So there's not really a name aside from product design.
You know that this podcast has been listened to at last counts like 55 nations. People have downloaded it. And so I try to keep in mind more of a worldwide audience. But because you've lived internationally and you experience a lot, when you think of the hotbeds of entrepreneurialism, what countries come immediately to mind?
It's interesting because there's countries where I lived in. I lived in Brazil, I lived in France, I lived in South Africa, Italy, and Poland. And there's some countries that are not really entrepreneurial. They don't have this kick for it. It's quite hard to find it. I would tell you that the United States might be one of the most entrepreneurial cultures I have ever seen. Granted, I haven't been in those places at the time that I was an entrepreneur. I'm seeing in other countries like France where entrepreneurship is growing, and it's really exciting to see. The products are interesting. There's different resources than you do in the US, and there's a different culture. To adapt to your international audience, there's a gap in how the customer in that country is going to take the product for themselves. Mm. There's going to be, depending on the culture, how a customer is going to interact with the product or react to even a small logo on your packaging might make all the difference. And so it's actually on the consumer side that entrepreneurship is the most, it's on a seesaw, really, because your customer has a completely different vision. There are companies that want to come to the US and build a product here. If usually they don't understand what the customer is looking for and how the customer thinks, and that's what makes that product fail. Mm. I hope that answers your question.
It answers it very, very well. I appreciate you sharing that. As you kind of reflect on your experiences thus far, can you share an example where perhaps you or a client got stuck? And when that happened, what did it take to get unstuck?
It's interesting. I happen to be a CTO of a baby bottle company. Okay. And it was an awesome experience. I absolutely loved it. The founder came to me and said, "This is the problem. We need to design a product that's going to be loved by everyone." So you see how early in the stage they came to us. And we said, "Okay, that's great." And for a year, we built this product that won awards and it was exciting and so on. And we were still in the development stage and it hadn't launched. And one day we were having a breakfast meeting, and we looked at the product, and a lot of engineers had looked at this product and said, "There's just no way you can make it happen. It's just the physics is not on your side." We were college students. I don't have an engineering degree, but I understand engineering. And so we pushed through and we said, "No, this is going to work." We made it work. Contrary to all what the engineers were saying, we made the physics happen and the product worked. But then it got too complex. And we got in this big, we had our feet in the concrete, and it was concrete. We were stuck. So during this breakfast meeting, we're looking at the product and we're saying, we might have to completely redesign it so that we can just make it better for the customer. We made the technology work. The baby bottle, as much as it sounds basic, a baby bottle has a lot of moving parts to it. Um, and we said, we are going to have to redesign this product because while it works and we've proven that physics works and so on, our customer's not going to be really excited about it. So we took it back to zero. We said, this is what we know. We've learned for a year what works and what doesn't. We've learned about the tiny little technologies. Even in the nipple of the baby bottle, there's a little hole so that the air can go through, like little things like this. And we said, okay, we have a team. Let's reiterate, create a new product. And in 6 months, we launched a new product that had different versions. And I'm so excited to see where that product goes, because it's got an amazing trajectory and an amazing team. But it took going through those rough patches, and especially that point where we were just stuck, very stuck. And if I may add something, it's not only about the product sometimes, it's about the team. And, the team gets stuck sometimes. When you're working as a single entrepreneur, you're the life of whether it goes well or not. If you're in a good mood or if you're excited about the product, you're motivated, the product grows. And the second that you have a slow day, that you didn't sleep well, the company slows down. When you have a team of two, it's great because you're actually balancing each other off, where you don't have to have someone or both of the folks at good days. Someone can cover, if you're feeling 20%, someone can cover the 80% for you. And so when you get stuck, usually bringing someone on, whether it's a consultant for just a couple of days or reaching out to a new engineer or going to talk to customers, that's going to be able to get you unstuck, because it's not always about the product, it's about the team, and you need product team fit more than most people realize.
Now, I kind of sat up to particular notice that because this is my wheelhouse when you mentioned that. When you think about the team that you've tried to surround yourself with, it may not be employees, but it's the people that you kind of bring together. What are you looking for to be a good member of the team that you're working with?
It's interesting. I look for people that can give me negative feedback. I have a lot of folks that I tell them what my business is, and they nod their head and they go, "Oh, that's awesome. That's really great." And that's not feedback. That's comments.
Yeah.
So I look for feedback first, and it can be positive feedback. If it's a great product and it's all positive, there's nothing wrong with this person. There's a click wherein that person turns from someone I go to for feedback to someone I go for as part of my team. It's because they turn from someone that gives me feedback to someone that gives me advice. Because feedback tends to be just kind of general. Advice is based on the situation that you're in. There's a lot more emotion in advising, because they give me advice about the position that I'm in. They understand where I'm at and where I'm trying to go. And so when there's that click here where people understand where I'm trying to go, they're going to give me the positive and the negative feedback. That's a great team member to me. It's as easy as it gets. So yeah.
Quentin, as you think about the path that you're on now, and it's already taken some interesting turns, but it's had a cumulative effect. That's kind of how I kind of conclude. You've learned from each of these experiences. Absolutely. Do you have something in mind as to what it is that you're aspiring to? And if so, can you share it?
Absolutely. I've always had a dream to have a product incubator. You see a lot of accelerator programs for startups in the software world where you have developers that are together. There's not much for products, and product design can actually impact the customer's choice. And it's been proven in studies, 73% of folks are going to grab the product almost only based on the design. So I'd like to see myself in a place where I help companies, but in a more holistic way, if you will. It should be a place where we have this idea, we really, really want to solve someone's problem, and it gets incubated for, 6 months to a year, and we build this amazing product that people love, that's exciting, and that solves the problem. That's my ultimate vision. When I graduated college, I went onto an AI generator and I had it create my vision, what I was exactly imagining, what the building would look like, and so on. And it's quite far-fetched, but it gives you a direction, right? If you want to go to the beach, you don't have to pick where you're going to put the chair. You can just go towards the sand and you'll figure it out then. That's how I like to look at it. And so I have this vision of a building for me. And so then I went backwards and I broke down all the steps, and really the roots were, we had to create a graphic design company. So we did that. We helped folks doing that. Then now we're helping entrepreneurs build entire products. The next step will be to bring on a marketer to get that product from, a good looking product to a product that people can relate to, communicate with, have an emotional connection with. And I'm super close to doing that. I think I'm inching towards it. This is very exciting. And the end vision is just a great team, lots of collaborations, what I care about the most. I've worked at Fortune 500s, and there's collaboration, not to the level that you find in entrepreneurship. That's my dream. A lot of collaboration, amazing spot, building amazing products.
I appreciate you sharing just that. You have positioned yourself as being on the other side of the microphone. You host a podcast, and here you are now, a guest on the podcast. So let me ask, you said yes to come on the podcast. We've had a rich conversation. What do you really want our viewers and listeners to have as takeaways from this conversation?
I really like the name of your podcast, Getting Unstuck. I think that's what I hope folks or our listener can get to is, you're going to be stuck, but getting unstuck is about the best gift that you can get. I've been stuck many times, moving from country to country. I was fluent in the language, I was fluent in Polish. I did my early elementary school years there. I was completely caught up. Then I got pulled out of the soil as if I was, a little tree, and put into this new soil, which was Brazil. And all of a sudden I forgot Polish and I was learning Portuguese, and I was readapting this new climate, new way of thinking, and different level of security in the city. And it happened again in coming to Atlanta. And every single time when you get to a new place, you feel extremely stuck. And so that's what I hope our listener can get to, is you can feel stuck right now, but if you put your mind to it, you can definitely get unstuck.
I appreciate you saying that, and I also appreciate the plug with the name of the podcast. Quentin, before we wrap up, I have a question I want to pose to our listeners, and that is, are people following you because they feel obligated or because they genuinely want to? I'm a leadership coach, and I'm dedicated to supporting high-achieving leaders like yourself through life's challenges. Whether you're feeling stuck despite past successes, or grappling with rising expectations, or searching for a renewed purpose, I'm here to provide whatever guidance I can. My approach, it empowers you to discover your core purpose and unlock your full potential. Work together, we can uncover hidden blind spots, challenge those limiting beliefs, and foster accountability, leading to renewed growth and fulfillment. So if you're ready to take the next step in your leadership journey, I invite you to visit bench-builders.com to schedule a conversation. And let's just unlock that professional and personal potential together. Quentin, I want to thank you for sharing your expertise with us today. If listeners want to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
loaisolutions.com, LOAI solutions.com. And there's a big button that says schedule a free discovery call. You'll fill out the sheet and we'll get on the call and figure out how we can help you.
So it's LOAI, and I do know that LOAI actually stands for Linking Optimization and Innovation. Perfect. LOAI Solutions. Thank you, Quentin.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
I also want to thank our subscribers for joining us, and I hope you have picked up on some quick wins from Quentin. that will help you get unstuck and on target. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Get Unstuck and On Target. I hope you've gained insights to help you lead with confidence and drive your organization forward. Remember, at Bench Builders, we're committed to your success, your leadership excellence, and your strategic growth. If you've enjoyed our conversation today, please leave a review, rate, and subscribe to keep up with our latest episodes. This show really grows when listeners like you share it with others. Who do you know who needs to hear what we talked about today? Until next time, I encourage you to stay focused on the target and continue to break new ground on your leadership path.